Detta är min hand. Jag kan röra den. Blodet pulserar i den. Solen står fortfarande högt på himlen. Och jag, Antonius Block, spelar schack med döden.
Imagine living in a time when death was not a far-off concept but a constant shadowy companion. A medieval world gripped by plague and despair, where every step felt like a risky dance with fate. This is the haunting landscape of The Seventh Seal, Ingmar Bergman's timeless film that dares us to face the reality of our own mortality. Hey everyone, today we're talking about a movie that's as much a philosophical inquiry as it is a piece of cinematic art. At the heart of this film is an unforgettable chess match between the weary knight Antonius Block and death itself, a battle that symbolizes our own struggle against life uncertainties. In the next few minutes, we are going to peel back the layers of this cinematic masterpiece. We will talk about the vivid imagery, the symbolic dialogues, and the scenes that have made us ponder our existence for over half a century. So if you are curious about what it means to face the end and discover meaning in that confrontation, stick around as we explore the captivating world of The Seventh Seal. The Seventh Seal emerged in a time of profound existential questioning. In the 1950s, Europe was rebuilding again after the devastation of World War II, and there was an air of uncertainty about what the future held. Bergman, a visionary Swedish director, chose to set his story in the medieval era, not just to revisit a fascinating historical period, but to draw a striking contrast between a known brutal past and the murky uncertainties of the modern life. By placing his narrative against the backdrop of the Black Death, Bergman wasn't merely painting a picture of a plague-ridden world. He was using history as a mirror to our own fears. The film's haunting black and white cinematography, with its interplay of light and shadows, captures the inner torment of its characters and the omnipresent fear of an indifferent universe. At its core, the film wrestles with existential dread. Antonius Block, this illusion knight, embarks on a journey that's as much about self-discovery as it is about survival in a world teetering on the brink of chaos. Along his path, he meets a diverse cast, a jester armed with ironic wisdom, a silent girl whose eyes say more than words ever could, and ordinary people clinging to hope among despair. Each interaction adds depth to the film's meditation on life, fate, and the elusive search for meaning. In an era when filmmakers were beginning to explore psychological and philosophical narratives, The Seventh Seal broke new ground by refusing to provide easy answers. Instead, it asked us to question our own beliefs about destiny, faith, and mortality. Let's see how these themes are woven into the film's unforgettable imagery and dialogue, inviting us all to reflect on the age-old struggle between hope and hopelessness. So many video series on this film all over YouTube, and most start by talking about one of cinema's most iconic moments, the chess game between Block and Death. But I want to start with something else. It's my favorite scene from this film.
Jag ska minnas den här stunden. Stillheten och skymningen. Skål med smultron. Skål med mjölk. Era ansikten i kvällsljuset. Mikael som ligger och sover. Joff med sitt strängaspel. Jag ska försöka komma ihåg vad vi talat om. Och jag ska bära det här minnet mellan mina händer. Lika försiktigt som vore det en skål breddfylld med nymjölkad mjölk. Och detta ska vara mig ett tecken. Och en stor tillräcklighet.
I love the quietness in this scene, the feeling of peace, even if everyone knows that it's just for a fleeting moment. The exact moment, however, is where we can find the meaning of life. The one moment is when we know that even if we die in the next minute, we have had a life that's well lived. The silent connections among strangers, the fresh air, the simple but heart-filling food. What a scene, man. Okay, now let's talk about the chess scene. This isn't just some quirky plot device, it's a rich metaphor for life itself. In challenging death to a game, Block isn't trying to cheat fate. He is staging a battle of wits where every move mirrors the choices that we make on our journey towards this inevitable final destination. Picture a scene. The silence is almost tangible as his deliberate move on the chessboard symbolizes a choice made in the face of destiny. This intense exchange isn't just about outsmarting death, it is about questioning whether we have any control over our fate, or if life is simply a series of calculated risks. And the symbolism doesn't stop there. Think about the procession of flagellants, a striking display of penitence and the desperate search for redemption when confronted with sin and mortality. This raw, unsettling image forces us to ask how far will we go to find meaning in suffering. It is a stark reminder that sacrifice and suffering have been long intertwined in our quest for salvation. In that quiet, expansive silence of the cinematography of this film, the landscape itself becomes a metaphor for existential isolation, reminding us that in the grand scheme of the universe, every life may feel incredibly small, yet every single moment still holds a personal significance. In this film, every frame is an invitation to look deeper. I know that it is such a cliche thing to say, yeah, but I'll say it anyway. Every frame is an art. The chess game and the surrounding symbols, loss, sacrifice, isolation, speak to the universal truths that are just as relevant now as they were in Bergman's time. They push us to question the nature of destiny, the inevitability of death, and whether we can ever truly claim victory over the unknown. Antonius Block is a knight caught in an internal battle as much as an external one. Block is tormented by the questions about the meaning of life and the existence of God, especially when he knows that he's going to die. His journey isn't just through a plague-ridden landscape, it's an inward exploration of himself, one last time. Equally intriguing is the film's portrayal of death. Rather than a monstrous force or a cartoonish, devilish figure, death is calm and almost courteous, engaging with Block as if they were equals, locked in a cosmic game. This portrayal flips the script on our usual fears, suggesting that death is not an enemy to be vanquished, but an inevitable part of life that we must learn to understand. Supporting characters here are one of the best casts that I've ever seen in a film. The Squire, full of energy and raw curiosity, represents hope and the unfiltered essence of life. His simplicity in thinking provides a counterpoint to Block's heavy existential questioning. Then there is the mute character that the Squire saves, whose silence speaks louder than words. Her silence is probably the result of years of abuse and trauma that she has faced from other people. Her inability to communicate verbally forces us to acknowledge that some of the most profound truths can only be felt, not spoken. Then we have the theater group, representing hope, especially the husband and wife, the antithesis of death. They are full of life and hope for the future, and also represented by the baby, dare I say, a symbolism of Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. Together, these characters form a beautiful web of human experience. Block's relentless self-questioning, death's unyielding calm, and the unvarnished realism of the people around them create a narrative that is both intensely personal and universally relatable. Through their interactions, Bergman compels us to ask, how do we confront our own mortality? What is truly sacred in a world that offers no easy answers? Think about the way light and shadow play throughout the movie. Often, a solitary beam of light slices through darkness, symbolizing a momentary spark of hope amid overwhelming despair. The film's expansive, desolate landscapes are equally impactful. They aren't just backgrounds, they are characters in their own right, reflecting the isolation of an individual wrestling with an indifferent universe. The barren fields and the distant horizons serve as a reminder that despite the chaos of life, we all face a profound solitude when confronted with our own mortality. The recurring image of the cross and Christ, whether in crumbling architecture or subtle gesture, constantly nudges us to consider the interplay between faith and doubt. The stark, wintry settings mirror the inner chill of a world where comforting certainties are hard to find. The deliberate pacing too sets the film apart from today's fast-cut editing styles. Bergman's unhurried scenes give us the time to truly stay there, reflect on the emotional and philosophical nuances. The slow burn forces us to slow down and consider the big questions that linger long after the film ends. Yeah, this film pushes us to confront our deepest fears, the terror of the unknown, the inevitability of death, and the uncertainty of the future, and also the uncertainty of faith. The film does not offer tidy conclusions about God or the afterlife. Instead, it leaves us with a trail of questions that challenge our assumptions and force us to think deeply about suffering and redemption. What makes the film so compelling is its refusal to tie things up neatly. It mirrors the messy, unresolved reality of life, suggesting that sometimes the beauty is not found in answers but in the questions themselves. In a world that often demands clarity, Bergman's work is a reminder that uncertainty can be as liberating as it is unsettling. Well, this can go on forever and ever, but I'll stop here. I'd love to know though, which scene or symbol in the seventh seal struck you the most? How do you interpret that chess game or the silence that permeates throughout the film? Tell me what you think about the scene that I liked so much. Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe and hit that notification bell for more film analysis. Until then, keep questioning, stay curious and keep exploring cinema. Bye bye.